So we are in video 2 of research methodology IPR, wherein in video 1 we studied about what exactly is the meaning of research, what are the different types of research methods, and what are the different definitions given by different people, right? So in this video, that is video 2, we'll be learning about the research methodology, and again of different types, what exactly will come under research, the objectives and the process of research basically, right? So we'll start with this video 2. Basically, this research method are those methods or techniques that are used for conduction of research. Yes, very much true. Research methods or techniques refer to the methods which are used in performing research operations. Yes, so either research or research operations. It might be observations, recording the data, processing, analyzing, reporting. It includes everything, right? So coming to research methodology. So what exactly mean by research methodology? See, it is a way to systematically solve the research problem. It may be understood as a science of studying how research is done scientifically. In this, we study the various steps that are generally adopted by a researcher in studying his research problem along with the logic behind them. So, it is necessary for the researcher to know not only the research methods or techniques but also the methodology. They do not only need to know how to develop certain tests, but how to calculate the mean, mode, median or the standard deviation or chi-square, how to apply particular research techniques, but they also need to know which of these methods or techniques are relevant and which are not, and what would they mean and indicate and why. So researchers also need to understand the assumptions underlying various techniques, and they need to know the criteria by which they can decide that certain techniques and procedures will be applicable to certain problems and others will not be. Right? So research methodology, it involves solving research problem systematically. It may be understood as a science of studying how research is done scientifically, basically, right? It might be through gathering of data, use of statistical techniques for analysis, interpretation, drawing conclusion about the research data. What are the characteristics of research? A good research follows a systematic approach to capture accurate data. Researchers need to practice ethics and a code of conduct while making observations or drawing conclusions. And the analysis is based on logical reasoning and involves both inductive and deductive methods. Real-time data and knowledge is derived from actual observations in natural settings. There is an in-depth analysis of all data collected so that there are no anomalies associated with it. It creates a path for generating new questions. Existing data helps create much more research opportunities. It is analytical for what? It is analytical and uses all available data so that there is no ambiguity in inferencing. Accuracy is one of the most critical aspects of research. The information must be accurate and correct. For example, laboratories provide a controlled environment to collect data. Accuracy is measured in the instruments used, the calibrations of instruments or tools, and the experiment's final result. Right? What are the objectives of research? To portray accurately characteristics of particular individual, group or situation, to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else, to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables, that is hypothesis testing, or it might be to discover new facts also, which might be related to employee variable, to verify the old facts, to develop new concepts and theories, to identify research problem and provide solution, to define policies and strategies, to know the association between variables, to assess the problem area in the organization. It is a basis for innovation. So research approach, under this you have this qualitative and quantitative research approach. See, in this diagram, as you can see, the requirements of a research is to identify and find solutions to the problems, to find alternative strategies to help make decisions better, to develop new concepts, right? So coming to the qualitative approach and quantitative approach. So qualitative research approach, it is concerned with qualitative phenomenon, that is phenomena relating to or involving quality or kind. It is concerned with subjective assessment of attitudes, opinions and behavior. For instance, when we are interested in investigating the reasons for human behavior, like why people think or do certain things, we quite often talk of motivation research, right, as an important type of qualitative research. So, this type of research aims at discovering the underlying motives and desires using in depth interviews for the purpose. Next, coming to qualitative research as well, it is especially important in the behavioral sciences where the aim is to discover the underlying motives of human behavior. Through such research, we can analyze the various factors which motivate people to behave in a particular manner or which make people like or dislike a particular thing. Why people behave differently in different situations. That is how you get to know. So, this was about the qualitative research. Coming to quantitative. Quantitative research approach is based on the measurement of quantity or amount. It is applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. It involves the generation of data in quantitative form, which can be subjected to rigorous quantitative analysis in a formal and rigid fashion. For example, number of students who visit college canteen every day. This approach can be further classified into inferential approach. The purpose is to form a database to infer characteristics or relationships of population. It is a survey research. It is a survey research where a sample of population is studied to determine its characteristics, and it is then inferred that the population has same characteristics. Coming to experimental approach, it is characterized by much greater control over the research environment, and in this case, some variables are manipulated to observe their effect on other variables. And the last is simulation approach. It involves the construction of an artificial environment within which relevant information and data can be generated. It can also be useful in building models for understanding future conditions. So here is a brief differences, very concise differences between qualitative and quantitative research design. Right. So see, first in the left side you are going to state the parameters for which you are differentiating both qualitative and quantitative, and then you can go with the differences. Coming to the purpose, basically qualitative purpose is to gain understanding of the concepts, to provide insights for the problem with individual interpretation of events. Coming to quantitative research, to quantify the data and generalize the results, precise measurement and analysis. And with respect to the sample parameter, usually a small number of samples as data will be gathered through observation method in qualitative technique, whereas in quantitative they use a large number of cases representing the population. Yes. And coming to data collection method, see, these are all parameters for which we are differentiating, right? So coming to data collection, qualitative uses unstructured or semi-structured method questionnaire, whereas quantitative uses structured technique or structured questionnaire method to go for data collection. And analyzing of data is non-statistical, that is in the form of pictures, words or objects in qualitative, because you get to give the theoretical description of the analysis, right? Whereas in quantitative, statistical data is usually in the form of tabulation. And coming to the last, that is the outcome. So findings are not conclusive as it relies on the opinions, and again it is theoretical, much more theory based, right? Whereas in quantitative, findings are conclusive and recommendations can be made because you are putting it in the form of numbers again in quantitative. So this was the difference between qualitative and quantitative, considering the 5 parameters which were discussed. So coming to the significance of research. So what is the significance of the research with whatever you are conducting of? It provides the basis for nearly all governmental policies in our economic system. Research has its it has its special significance in solving various operational and planning problems of business with industry or any organization. It is also equally important for social scientists in studying relationships and in seeking answers to various social problems. So this was the significance of your research. Next, coming to the types of research. So we have, see, as in the pictorial representation which has been shown in the slide, we have these many types of research studies. First being exploratory research, then the descriptive research, action research, historical research, causal research, conceptual research, pure or fundamental research, and applied research. So let us start with descriptive research. When a researcher wants to know something about a group of people, then descriptive research can be used. Descriptive research is to describe the characteristics of population, that is targeted respondents. The main purpose of descriptive research is describing the state of affairs, and here the researcher will not have any control over the variables. He can just report what has been happening or what has happened. It describes the characteristics of the respondent in relation to a particular product. It can also deal with demographic characteristics of the customer or consumer, used to find the association between two or more variables. And post facto research, it examines the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable, but he will not have control over the variables. So this was about the descriptive research study. Next, coming to exploratory research. So exploratory research or formulative research studies are also termed as formulative because the main purpose of such studies is that of formulating a problem for more precise investigation or of developing the working hypothesis. It often relies on secondary research such as reviewing available literature and or data or qualitative approaches such as informal discussions with consumers, employees, management or competitors, and more formal approaches through in-depth interviews, focus groups, case studies or pilot studies. Carried out at the very beginning when the problem is not clear or it is vague. The major emphasis in such studies is on the discovery of ideas and insights, in-depth understanding of the topic, for example, exploring the reasons for sales decline of a product in a company. Next, coming to applied research. Applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or an industrial or business organization, undertaken to find solutions for real life problem requiring an action or policy decision. It may accidentally contribute to the development of theoretical knowledge. Research aimed at certain conclusions facing a concrete social or business problem is an example of applied research. Thus, the aim of applied research is to discover a solution for some existing practical problem. So, applied research is used to solve a specific practical problem of an individual or of a group. The study and research is used in business, medicine, and education in order to find solutions that may cure diseases, solve scientific problems, or develop technologies. To develop a new product which will solve the problem of common man exactly. Next is the pure or fundamental or basic research. Fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalizations and with the formulation of a theory. Gathering knowledge for knowledge's sake is termed pure or basic research. So, research concerning some natural phenomenon or relating to pure mathematics are examples of fundamental research. Similarly, research studies concerning human behavior carried on with a view to make generalizations about human behavior are also examples of fundamental research, which is again undertaken for the sake of knowledge, not directly involved with practical problems. For example, theory of relativity, which was used to solve or create an idea or create a concept new law or new rule, right? Next is the conceptual research. So this conceptual research is that related to some abstract idea or concepts. It is generally used by philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret existing ones. Conceptual research focuses on the concept or theory that explains or describes the phenomenon being studied. What causes the disease, or what might be the prevention, or what might be the solution to reduce the diseases, right? So next is the causal research or explanatory research. Research attempt to reveal a cause and effect relationship between two variables. Example, impact of training method on training effectiveness. It is conducted to determine the cause and effect relationship between the two variables. Way of seeing how actions will affect a business in the future. For example, a clothing company selling blue denim jeans. Causal research can measure the impact of the company changing the product design to the color white. The bosses will be able to decide whether changing the color from blue to white will be effective, will get them more sales or not. So though they will know, because they know the market condition, they know the customer preferences, right? So they will be able to judge better when compared to other uh, allotted resources. Next, coming to empirical research or experimental research. So this empirical research relies on experiment or observation alone. It is data-based research coming up with conclusions which are capable of being verified by observation or experiment. Data collection is done through observation and experimentation. We can also call it as an experimental type of research. In such a research, it is necessary to get at facts firsthand at their source and actively to go about doing certain things to simulate the production of desired information. Yes, right. So that was about the experimental research. Coming to historical research. Inquiry into the past events where researcher describes and interprets those events. Historical research is that which utilizes historical sources like documents, reports, etc. It is a process of searching information using scientific method and systematically examining an event which had occurred in past, that is in the history, wherein probably you might get the records or you may not get the records for this historical data, but still you need to give the report of whatever you have been studying of, or you have been observed, or you have interviewed with people related to these concepts or these parameters. For example, historical study is a study of past records and data in order to understand the future trends and development of the organization or the market. There is no direct observation involved in this research. Based on past data itself, research will be carried out. Research has to depend on the conclusions or inferences drawn in the past. Main objective is to derive explanation and generalization from the past trends in order to understand the present and anticipate the future. For example, investors in the share market study the past records of prices of shares which he or she intends to buy. Studying the share prices of a particular company enables the investor to take decision whether to invest in the shares or not. Next is the action research. The researcher here is a practitioner, hence action research is being taken by a researcher to improve upon his own practices or own actions. Research is undertaken by direct action. Action research is conducted to solve a problem. For example, test marketing a product is an example of action research. Initially, the geographical location is identified. A target sample is selected from among the population. Samples are distributed to selected samples and feedback is obtained from the respondents. Coming to analytical research, qualitative and quantitative research. So analytical research, in this the researcher has to use facts or information which is already available and analyze these to make a critical evaluation of the material. Coming to quantitative research, it is based on quantitative measurements of some characteristics. It is applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantities. Coming to qualitative research, it is basically important in behavioral sciences where the aim is to discover the underlying motives of human behavior. We can analyze the various factors which motivates people to behave in a particular way. So this was about the different types of research with video 2. So in the next video, that is video 3, we will be learning about the entire process of research. Thanks for listening.